Hello and welcome to Creativity with DA3 Live. I'm your host, Don Allen III. Now today what we're going to be working on is we're live streaming to Instagram and YouTube. Today what we're going to be working on is making more neon 3D logos. This time we're going to be working on the Google logo. We've done YouTube and Amazon and Netflix and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, and we just did Bitcoin. And so now we're gonna do Google. We're gonna do Google. We're gonna Google it. We're gonna Google together. Google family. All right. This is gonna be more of an overview video. So if you're looking for all the nitty-gritty details, they'll kind of be in here, but not fully. Just enough to kind of understand the concept so that you can try it out on your own. This is the one we just made last. This has not been posted anywhere on the internet yet. This is the neon sign Bitcoin logo. So we'll be kind of doing stuff like this today. And and this is the project file. I'll be working inside of Cinema 4D. So, yep, that's that. And if you're watching this not live, I would encourage you to skip to the end of the video and see if you like what we have. If you hate it, well then don't watch this video. But if you like it, well then stick around. You'll learn a thing or two. So, let's get started. All right. Here we are, just testing the music volume. Yep, cool. Volume works. Let's get right to it. So what we're going to start off with is I have Adobe Illustrator open, and I have my layer panels detached right here. I'm just going to place them over here. And I've already downloaded the Google logo, so we're just going to drag it from our desktop and bring it onto our artboard in Illustrator. Then I'm going to do is hit enter and hit OK. So it's just kind of just placing it here. And the first thing we're going to do is use the image trace tool and see if it helps us out. So we go to image trace. And this is going to make our image turn into a vector. So what we do is we go to our image trace and then we go to our line art. Or in this case, let's do 6 colors. Yeah. So it takes a second. It's looking at all the lines, all the pixel data, and now it's chopping it up. Okay, so it allegedly has chopped it up. It looks like it's pretty clean, so I'll hit expand. And what that did was we now have vectors that represent our image. Now we gave it a JPEG, and now it gave us, it illustrated its thing, and now it has vectors. And this is an important step for us to turn this into a neon sign. We need this to be geometry, and it is now. The next thing we're going to do over here is we're going to convert this Google logo into just the lines. So it doesn't matter what color it is at this point, so I'm just going to select everything and just choose a random color. We're listening to Vaporwave aesthetics, so let's just choose a neon pink. There we go. Next, we're going to invert this so that it's not filling in the colors, but rather just the outlines. So we swap it. And now we can kind of increase our stroke width up at the top here. And so now if you look carefully, we have the Google logo, but it's divided into nice little quadrants. And they're all kind of lined out. And this, again, is an important step because we're going to be using this data to tell the program what to extrude into three-dimensional space. The next thing I'm going to do is I actually want to expand the gaps between each section. Since this is a neon sign, I don't want this to just be like a single neon pole. I'd probably want this to be 2 different neon lines. So to do this, what I'm going to do is get a rectangle. And I'm just going to draw it out. I'm going to actually fill this rectangle as well. And I'm also going to rotate this rectangle so that it matches the angle that we see that this is happening at. Something right around there. A little off, kind of just rotating it by eye here. It's fine for our purposes. And gotta let my dog out real quick. Okay, so yeah, we got our line right there. And so then what we'll do is just check on our audio, because I like to check on that while I'm doing a live stream. Okay, cool. So yeah, we have this thing right here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of thin this out a lot. And then we'll put it right over where the line's going to be. And I'm going to change this blue just so that we have some difference in color. Cool. I'm going to copy this. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit wider, to be honest. And I want the center of it to be pretty much aligned right there. Cool. I'll copy this, paste it, do the same thing over here as well. Copy it, paste it, and rotate it. Or actually, we could just mirror it so it's perfect. Is it a perfect mirror? Oh, it's not a perfect mirror. Okay, whatever. We'll just rotate it then. Do, do, do. So what I'm doing with these, I'm using them kind of like spacers, and I'm spacing out the space between the different sections of the Google logo. Cool, so I'm just gonna place those down there. Next, I'm gonna grab everything, and we're gonna use the, actually I think we have to refill everything. So let's refill everything with some random colors, dark gray. And now you see that our little intersections are in this area. So what we can do with the Google logo here is we can grab all of this data and go to our window Pathfinder. This is your best friend for logo design. This is your best friend for shape art and vector art. You go to our Pathfinder, I'm gonna hit divide. Oops, it doesn't detect the right amount of things because these all have to be on the same layer. So let's grab all of that and try dividing it again. Cool. So what that did was it took their geometry and divided them into little parts. So I can now get rid of the extra stuff that we don't need. These inside lines, for instance, these guys, don't need them, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. And essentially what we just did was we expanded the amount of space that's between our logo, between each section of the logo. I just wanted to expand that space so that when we have our neon sign, it's got enough space to breathe. Just getting rid of the excess here. Okay, just kind of grabbing everything, getting rid of it, boom, boom, boom. Now we have a clean Google logo, but it's broken up with much more space in between each of these parts, and that's truly essential. So we can now move to the next step. Since we now have vector data, and it's looking pretty clean, I'm just gonna make the line a little bit thicker so it's easier to see on Instagram over here. And what we can do from this point is we can now send this out of Illustrator and bring it into 3D. So, to do that, first I'm gonna just take a look at our logo, our path stuff. I'm gonna get rid of extra paths that we do not need. Like all these, don't really need these anymore because they're gone. Okay, actually we do need those. Keep them. Keep all those paths. Don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I'm just gonna leave it alone. We're gonna export this out of here. So we'll go to File, Save As, and we're gonna save it as an Illustrator file. Yes, we are, but it's a very particular type. We're gonna call this Google AI _ neon. And we'll hit, oh no, it's not underscore, it's dash. We need this to be an underscore. Hit save. But before you hit OK, make sure you convert your version from an Illustrator CC to an Illustrator 8 file, because Cinema 4D has troubles recognizing all your paths if it's not an Illustrator 8 file. We'll go ahead and hit OK. Hit OK again. So now our Illustrator file is done. We can kind of either close it, put it out over there. I'm now going to open up Cinema 4D, which we already have open from earlier. And this is our project file. Now it's a little bit more complicated looking over here, but no worries. Here we're learning. So let's just make a new camera. So here's the overview on how this technique works. The way it works is like this. If we have any vector data, so let's say we had a circle that was in here, right? So we have this circle. The way this technique works is we bring in our vector data, kind of like how this circle is already a vector, right? It's just like a three-dimensional or two-dimensional circle living in a three-dimensional space. And what we do with that circle is we're going to use the sweep option. So we had our circle, we have our sweep, and then what we do is we're gonna do another circle. Yeah, we're gonna do another circle. So I'm gonna just grab another circle and move it up over here. But this circle, we're going to change its diameter to make it really tiny. And what we're going to tell the program to do is to sweep this tiny circle along the path of this giant circle. And we do that by organizing these in this way. Oops. So we want the sweep to be the parent, and then we want objects that we want them to sweep to be the children. So right now our sweep is reading this as we want that circle 1 to be swept by the circle 2. And as a result, you'll get a three-dimensional path that's using your vector data. Now I start off with a circle because it's kind of an easy shape to imagine, but now we're going to do essentially the same thing but with the Google logo. So let's get rid of that little sweep thing. And we're going to bring in our Google logo in place of this Bitcoin. So we're going to go to File, Import, or sorry, File Merge. They call it Merge in Cinema 4D. And with the Merge option selected, we're going to go find our image. So I'm looking for my texture here, or not texture, we're looking for the Google AI _ neon, hit open. It's going to ask you what scale you have it at. I'm just going to leave it at 1 and we'll just bring it right in. And there we have it. Look at this. We have a Google logo and it's the same idea. It's a 2-dimensional layer inside of a 3-dimensional space. And it has little paths that break up all of its like forms and stuff. So what we're going to do now is sweep those paths with a circle. And we're going to use the same ones that we use here and we'll get a kind of neon sign look. It's not too hard. The hardest part is making that wall, and I'll kind of just tell you about how to make it in a little bit. But for now, what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of make sure that all my layers are kind of smashed together correctly, because it seems like a few of them are kind of broken up into weird pieces. So I'm going to merge these 2 layers together, for instance, so that it's one object. So we'll do connect objects, and I'll get rid of their parent ones. Don't know what's happening, why the parent won't get connected. Let me try that. Okay, cool. So now we got one piece up there. That's the top part of our Google logo. Looking around, we have this bottom piece, this top piece, and that one's weird. We're not going to do that. Got to find all the pieces. I don't know why these got separated. I might have made a mistake in the Illustrator part, but it's not a like huge problem. We just have to make sure that all of our pieces of this puzzle are put together before we can move on to the next stage. There we go, path 12. So it looks like path 12 plus path 8 plus path, nope, not path 4. 8 plus 12 plus 3 plus 2. We'll grab all of those and we'll do connect objects. And then we'll get rid of the ones that made it up a moment ago. Cool, so now we have this bottom chunk, this top chunk. Now we have this one, it just needs that last little piece at the bottom there. So just move it up, we'll grab these 2 pieces, and we will connect these objects, doing a connect objects. Cool, and then we'll get rid of the ones that it connected. So we're just left with that chunk, so we got 1, 2, and 3. Now we just need that last little bit, which is this, plus this, plus that. So it's all the last ones. We'll grab all of them, that's 5, 6, 9, and 11, and we'll connect the objects. 5, 6, 9, 11. Let's go ahead and delete those. And with that, we have our Google logo divided into 4 convenient chunks. Now what we could do, take it a step further, we could make a copy of this, but just to show you the principle, we can now make a sweep along that path. So if I go up here, let's move all of our paths out of our Google AI Neon folder. We can even get rid of that now. So these are just 4 independent paths. We could make a circle, just like this. We could change the radius of that circle to be about the width of a neon sign. And then we can choose our sweep option underneath this menu here. And we'll make the circle a child of the sweep. And then we'll choose path 1 and make it a child of the circle. And now you have a neon sign. You have these paths that now sweep along the same geometry of your logo. Now there's a few little errors and stuff like this, but actually I might be open to keeping that, maybe, because it looks like a real neon sign. But we can also close the spline if we don't like that. But that's a little bit too sharp, so maybe we change this to, instead of a Bezier, we can try a B-spline. Ooh, don't do a B-spline. Maybe we can do natural, adaptive, subdivided. No. Okay, let's do none, natural. We got some options to work with. But yeah, that's kind of how the technique works. Let me do close. Do I want to close the spine? Yeah, I guess we'll close it. I mean, it'll be a hard edge, but there's another trick to this too. We can have, instead of sweeping 3-dimensionally, we can have it sweep as parallel movements, and that will round it off. And actually that looks pretty good. I'll even change the radius of our circle so it's a little bit more space for things. And cool, so we basically have our main chunk done. Next, what we'll do is the same process. We'll actually just copy this whole sweep system here, And instead of path 1 being there, we'll delete path 1 and bring up our path 2. Look at that. Now we have our second section made. We'll do the same thing again. We'll copy our sweep, take our paths, go to path 4, put it there, and now we have that third part of the Google logo put into 3D space, so that's going to work out. And we just do the last one here as well. That's path 1. Oh no, sorry, it's path 5.1 or whatever. We'll copy our sweep, take path 5.1, replace it, delete path 4.1, and now we have our Google logo as these nice little sections. So I actually got to quickly reference the Google logo again right now just to see our colors. We got red, yellow, green, blue. Cool. So the next step is we're going to merge all of this together as one grouped layer so that we can move all these guys uniformly together as one happy Google family. Let me just test. That's that bottom one. Just making sure that we have all the parts. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4. Okay, so we have all parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So I'm going to collapse all these layers, and we're going to grab our 1, 2, 3, and 4 and merge them as one object. So we'll just do group objects. So now our whole Google logo is pretty much set to go, ready to be treated. So we can move our Google logo now. If we bring up our spline options, I'm going to put the center point right here so that we can just move it from the center. We're now going to move into our camera from earlier. And this is where we kind of place it in the right position. We change our scale of our object so that it kind of fits snugly with the environment. Cool. We can now take this opportunity to hide the Bitcoin because we don't need it. So now we just have our new Google logo. I'm going to move it on the Z-axis towards the camera. So now it's in the front. And the last thing we got to do is the colors. And I think I already have most of those colors already made. But let's just do it anyway. Let's make a new... Actually, I'll just use the same Netflix red that we used earlier for Netflix. And let's put it right there. And then the next section is yellow. I'll use the Snapchat yellow from earlier. Oh, I don't have it. Oh, there it is. We'll use the Snapchat yellow for that second part of Google's logo. Then we have that green. Don't think I have a green yet, so it's no problem. We'll just make a green. Going to our materials. Here's the overview. The way it works is we need to have a luminance channel. The luminance channel is where that white is coming from. And then we give it a glow channel, and that's where that glow comes from. So I'm just going to make that green. It's kind of like a mid-tone green that Google uses. It's not too saturated. And we can apply that to our bottom half here. And the last one after the green is the blue. I'll use the Facebook blue that we used earlier for that. And there we have it. We kind of have the logo kind of made. This is a good opportunity to do a quick render pass test. So I'll shrink it down so it speeds it up, and we'll just hit Command or Control R to render out a rough preview of what your sign looks like. Sweet. Kind of looks all right. There's a little weird thing going on with the lighting though. Let me see if we switch out our cameras and try this camera instead. I had this issue earlier, to be honest. Hopefully it doesn't continue to be a problem. Let's try rendering that one out. There we go. So that one's going to take a little bit longer. We're using a technique for the lighting called global illumination. And what it does is it looks at all the details of the light in the scene and measures how it should bounce around. I have other tutorials on my YouTube channel that kind of go into how to use luminance channels. But if you want to look into it, just Google global illumination lighting, and then it will help you make some very realistic lighting. And there we have it. So now our Google logo is made here in 3D. Now we just got to work on kind of a little minor adjustments for spacing, and I'll probably just move this down right about here. And I'll take that wall texture and just move that plane way up high for some reason. Yeah, just take that plane and we'll just move it up and around. Doom, 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 doom. Cool, I'm just gonna move that up high and maybe a little bit to the left. Oh, not forward, just left and right. Cool, let's give it another render pass test. All right, just giving it a moment. So yeah, it's important to kind of do these little render tests because you want to find out what your object's going to look like before you go into super detail. And so that's what the Bitcoin logo is going to look like when it's all done. And it's nice to know that. It's nice to know that it's going to be what it's going to look like before you dive too deeply into making it too customized. But let's just give it a few more seconds here to render. Or did it stop? Still rendering? Huh. I think it paused the render real quick. Let's kind of bring it back. I need to check my phone real quick anyway. All right, cool. So we got our Google logo, just taking a look at how it glows. Nice, that looks all right. And we'll emphasize a little bit more of its glowing inside of Photoshop. But you're pretty much done. So I think we can kind of wrap it up. This is a really quick tutorial. Hope you learned a thing or two about kind of the process of making a neon sign. You know, I'm not going to go into depth today on like how to make like your brick texture. That's like, for me, that's like an important part, but you got to learn that from like Grayscale Gorilla. They go into some really good texture videos. But yeah, that's kind of an approach. And if you want to see the rest of these, they're all up on my Instagram channel, Instagram account. And you know, I have this kind of like little social media / internet theme that we're doing this week. So we got Snapchat and all these things. And all of them were made with the same technique, overview of the techniques that I showed you here. So I hope you liked that tutorial. It was quick. And without further ado, as always, thank you so much for watching Creativity with DA3 Live, and have a creative and productive day.